They said the knight ruled the battlefield, armor shining, horse thundering, blade raised, but they were wrong. The knight was a symbol, a legend wrapped in steel, but he wasn't the one who changed everything. That honor belonged to the silent figure in the distance. No shining armor, no warhorse, just a bow, a heartbeat, and deadly precision. The archer didn't chase glory. He didn't need a title. He controlled the wind, the distance, the rhythm of war. He ended fights before they began. He was feared by kings, forgotten by songs, but remembered by the dead. In this story, we uncover the truth behind the myth. Why the quiet warrior with no title reshaped the fate of empires. Stay with us till the end. Like, share, and subscribe. Because this isn't just history. This is the forgotten power behind every fallen knight. And it's time the world remembered who really ruled the field. They loved the image of the knight, shining, armored, proud, thundering across open fields with a sword in hand and glory in his heart. The stories were written for him, songs sung in his name, statues raised to his courage. He was the face of war, the heart of honor, the embodiment of chivalry. But they never wrote poems about the man who stood in the shadows, who pulled a string and watched death fly. They never carved statues for the one who didn't need to ride or shout or bleed in close. The one who didn't charge forward, but waited, patient, silent, lethal, the archer. He didn't shine, he didn't speak, but he ended wars before they began. He stood far from the clashing steel, far from the noise and the cheers. But when his arrow left the bow, everything changed. Formations collapsed, horses screamed, knights fell, and still no one sang his name. But this isn't a song about knights. It's a whisper from the edge of the woods. From the hill, from behind the wall, it's a story about the man whose fingers bled from the bowstring, whose eye never blinked when death took flight, who never chased glory but left trails of it behind him. He wasn't just a soldier, he was a shift, a change in the logic of war, a quiet revolution written in feathers and iron tips. And while kings rode with their noble blood, the archer stood with common men, born not into honor but into purpose. He didn't ask for recognition, he didn't need it, because he didn't fight for applause. He fought to end it. Before the swords clashed, before the lances broke, the sky would darken, not with clouds, with arrows. And when that happened, the knights, those mighty men of metal, would look up and for the first time feel powerless, because range is power, and the archer owned the sky. He didn't need to run. He didn't need a wall of steel to protect him. He shaped battles with space, with distance, with timing. He made warriors doubt, made horses rear, made formations falter. Every volley of arrows was a message. We see you, and we can reach you. And that message broke more lines than any sword. The bow wasn't just wood and string. It was judgment, precision, memory, pain. From 200 yards he could strike a heart. 10 arrows in a minute, each one a decision. Each one a chance, and with every pull, he whispered through the wind, I don't need to touch you to end you. That truth haunted the battlefield, because it meant armor didn't mean safety. It meant a knight's pride couldn't stop what he couldn't see coming. The gaps in their protection, the underarm, the neck, the face, they were known, studied, exploited. A knight's greatest strength became his illusion, and the archer broke the illusion. He didn't ride a horse, but he could bring one down. And when that horse fell, the knight became a man again. Slower, heavier, mortal, the archer didn't just kill bodies. He shattered belief. He turned glory into fear, and that fear spread. The sound of arrows slicing through air. The screams of those who never reached the fight, the sight of comrades falling before lifting a sword, it broke the rhythm of courage, it slowed feet, it widened eyes, it turned brave men into targets. Even the strongest formations couldn't hold when arrows rained from above. You can't shield your mind, and the archer understood that. He attacked the heart before he attacked the body, and while knights fought for honor, the archer fought for impact. But it wasn't just about death, it was about control. He controlled when the fight began, he controlled when the enemy turned, when they scattered, when they bled, and unlike the knight, who cost a fortune to create, the archer was born in the dirt. No title, no estate, just hands that learned to pull, eyes that learned to wait. While a knight needed gold and breeding, the archer needed discipline. He trained every day, not for praise, but because the battlefield wouldn't wait. His armor was light, his meals were simple, but his role was everything. He could be trained in years, not decades, fed on less, moved faster, deployed wider. He didn't come with squires and servants. He came with a mission and a quiver. While kings struggled to field a few hundred knights, they could raise thousands of archers, fast, efficient, deadly. It wasn't just economical, it was logical. When you wanted to win a war, you looked at the numbers. And the archer was the number you couldn't ignore. He needed no glory to be lethal, no crowd to be valuable, just the right wind, the right moment, the right command, and he didn't need to charge, he needed to aim. While knights waited for open fields and dry roads, the archer used the terrain. Forests became shields, hills became thrones, mud, walls, shadows, all became allies. He could hide where knights couldn't, move where horses failed, attack from places no sword could reach. And when he fired, he didn't just shoot, he shaped the future. His arrows didn't scatter, they aligned, hundreds at once, launched by command. Timed by whistle, organized by trust. It wasn't chaos, it was a system, a language of death written in arcs. Open fields became traps, enemy movements became opportunities, armor became targets, every battle was a canvas. And the archer was the artist. He painted in silence, but his silence changed the world. He didn't duel, he didn't boast, but he didn't need to, because he didn't fight for glory, he fought for victory. While knights rode for honor, archers fired for outcome. That difference mattered. The knight was a story, the archer was a result, and commanders noticed. They stopped measuring power by banners and bloodlines. They started counting arrows, they stopped asking who was noble, they started asking who could aim, and the more they asked, the more they realized the archer wasn't a support, he was a strategy, a way to control space, to deny ground, to break timing, to decide battle. He didn't just attack, he dictated, he forced decisions, ruined plans, shifted tides, and over time the battlefield changed with him. The war wasn't about courage. It was about coordination, timing, pressure. It wasn't about who swung harder. It was about who shot first, who stayed organized, who broke the enemy before ever seeing them, and the archer made that possible. Even in sieges, he stood tall, holding walls, protecting breaches, guarding against climbers, watching, waiting, firing. He gave cover to engineers, safety to soldiers. He carved time and space with every volley. He wasn't just a weapon, he was a protector. He gave infantry a chance to advance. He gave commanders a wider reach. He turned distance into dominance, and as the old world faded, so did the knight's dominance. Not because he lacked courage, but because courage wasn't enough. The battlefield had evolved, honor could inspire, but arrows ended battles, and the archer, once overlooked, stood at the center of that truth. He wasn't royalty, he wasn't armored, but he was irreplaceable. His power wasn't loud, it was consistent, focused, quiet. He didn't crave fame, he trusted his shot, and when kingdoms rose and fell, the archer remained. Not in statues, but in the silence after the arrow hits. That silence that says, we grew up hearing stories about knights, about steel and bravery and the roar of hooves. But in the silence between battles, in the shadow behind the walls, there was someone else. A man with no title, no armor, just a bow and a purpose. He didn't need to be seen to make an impact. He didn't need a crown to change a kingdom. He stood in the wind, aimed at history, and let it fly. Today we remembered him, the archer, the unseen edge, the real force behind the fall of legends. If this story moved you, if it opened your eyes to the quiet ones who change everything, then stay with us. Like, share, subscribe, there's more to history than glory, and more to power than what shines. Thanks for watching. Until next time, remember the man who never charged, but always hit his mark.